up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It is your main man, Juggernaut of Multi-Platinum Production Team.
Arkatech Beatz.
Welcome to the music production live stream tutorial series, Cook Up. We back on. We were on earlier doing some multi-platinum music reviews. So, if you missed that, make sure you go check that out on our YouTube to see it. We're doing music reviews, making sure that we're listening to folks' joints and, listening to beats and songs and, giving a little bit of feedback. But if it's your first time here, I'm multi-platinum producer, Juggernaut of Arkatech Beatz. Shout out to my partner, Mike Trauma D. And we are responsible for producing for your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. That's everyone from Big Pun to Nas, Jadakiss, The Game, Shorty Low, who else? Max B, French Montana, Wiz Khalifa, 2 Chainz, you name it, we've done it. Make sure you're checking us out. We're on the new French Montana and Max B Coke Wave series. We're on that now, so we're on a record called Me Too. You can check that out. But we're about to get ready to start cooking up in a little bit, so we're gonna jump on this thing and we're gonna get it doing. For those who want to learn the music production and join our community, the link is on the screen. It is school.com/Future Producer Society. Make sure you are tapping in, and we're going to get into this beat tutorial. I got this sample in here. Samples is courtesy of Splice. Make sure you check that out on the links in the description. We're going to cook this sample up. I like this. Make sure y'all liking the live. This is basically at an 85 tempo, like I said. I tuned it down maybe by 1 semitone to get us to an A minor. And I'm gonna set my pad performance mode to the same thing, to A minor. So when I'm ready to play anything along with it, we'll be able to follow along with the beat or with the sample per se when we're cooking this up. This is a 4-bar loop. We're gonna change our thing to 4 bars. We've already set our tempo to 85. And let's get this thing cooking up. Let's go. Add some hats on here real quick.
Beatz.
We're gonna add this open hat on it real quick, and I'm using a template as far as I kind of already have the tracks kind of named out, linked out. Yeah, 85 is a sweet spot. Let's add this open hat in real quick. One more time. Let's add the regular hats in here real quick. That's really kind of backwards to do the open hat versus the regular hat. But I've been doing this a long time. Let's get the hat sign real quick. Thanks, Dave. Add a tambourine on this real quick. Let's go. Sample going crazy. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Let's go. Am I using timing correction on my drums? I always use timing correction on my drums. Unless I'm trying to do something that's off beat, then I don't use timing correction, but I always use timing correction. If you notice, I most times even trigger my drums holding down the note repeat button, and that's to ensure that I actually stay on the grid. So I hope I answered your question. like this sample is coming in like extremely hot. If you're looking at this, if you're looking at the way that it's, see like how it barely breathes. Blue Arrow, what up? Simple on it real quick. One more time. Yeah, I saw that coming after I logged off, but we'll be in it tomorrow. We won't be on by 8 o'clock. This sample, and we're gonna what you call it with this. We're gonna take this sample and we're gonna stem separate it, and we're gonna assign it to pad D1, and we're gonna let this. I want to try to pull out this vocal and see how it sounds without that vocal. All right, man. Make sure you do that. You're gonna be at the top. You're gonna be at the top of the list because you skipped everybody. So I got you. We here, man. Listen, man. We here, man. We not playing them charlatan games. We here. Appreciate you, man. Yo, man. $1 Million Baby 4 Max B featuring 2 Chainz, Larry June. Who else? Wiz Khalifa. Currency. Don't say listen, I ain't making it up now. You know what I'm saying? I ain't making it up. Arkatech Beatz production on half of that. Damn near. Shout out to Dame Grease and Young Scotty. Shout out to those guys, man. But you're gonna catch Arkatech Beatz production on 2 Chainz, Wiz Khalifa, or Max B. Come on, man. Coach J, what up, man? Appreciate you. Sound like. So we separated the stems right now, and what we're doing is we're breaking up this sample. Let's see how it sounds. We're gonna reconstruct it and see how it sounds once we pull out some of the main parts. I just want to kind of get a feel for it, really. Time, get a little fill in there. Relay what we stem separated, right? So we stem separated the Oz, stem separated the bass, and that's kind of like a separation of the guitar, but it still has a little bit of the vocal sample in it. We're gonna let it ride for right now. I'm gonna take this sample here. I'm gonna do what we call a normalization. And what that'll help to do is that'll help to bring up the fidelity on that to make it a little bit louder. Because if you notice, it was a little bit low, especially right here. Now you gotta remember when you do that normalization, it's also going to bring up any artifacts. So if it has artifacts or if it has digital noise in it, then it'll just make that louder. So you want to kind of use that kind of sparingly. All right. So let's add this part into it. We're gonna break it down. Alright, so I added the vocal part in there. So now I'm gonna copy this track again, and then we're gonna turn this into the bass line. And this is basically the bass line that was filtered in it. That gets filtered out. Remember, stem separation is all like filtering and dynamics. That is filtering out certain sounds, certain elements. So you're gonna get like buzzes and this type of stuff. Like, this is up to you now. If you want to clean these things up, you got to go in there. You're gonna have to EQ those things out, or you're gonna have to find a way to get it to sound a little bit more clean. But for me, this is hip hop, man. We don't care about that. Shout out to New Era. Thank you for your super chat, my brother. Yo, listen, you've been watching me do this thing here, man. And remember all of these records that we were doing in these live stream cook-ups last year, right? We started the live stream. I started the live stream series around April of last year. Didn't know why I was doing it. Never went live, making no beats live. My partner Mike Trumedy was like, "Yo, you making beats live? How you do that? Like, what part of the game is that?" And I said, "Yo, I just want to see if I could just be consistent in one, showing up live every night, and two, making quality music." Like, that was the main thing for me, was like, cause I typically like to make music in secret, you know what I mean? And this is typically my thing, where I like to kind of like, I kind of like to cook up and then like bow, like, you know what I'm saying? So like cook something up, send it to my partner. He'd be like, "Yo, this is dope. Let's fix this, da da da." Or let's, we go back and forth, and then until we get to the finished product. You know what I mean? And I knew Max was coming home, so we knew Max was coming home. We had that date, and in my mind, in the back of my mind, I'm like, "Yo, I know we got to reconnect with Max B, because we did Why You Do That, and Why You Do That is his biggest record." You know what I'm saying? So when I noticed that, I knew that he was coming home, I said, let me make these tracks, let me cook these things up, let's see what happens. And then we start cooking up these joints. We went 100. We did 150 nights last year, live stream. So I made 150 different beats. You know what I'm saying? Easy. You know what I'm saying? Made a beat every night. Sometimes we made 2-3 beats a night. We was just cooking up or whatever. Boom. Fast forward, Max come home. The internet going crazy. They're going crazy for Max B. They going crazy for Max B. They taking Why You Do That. Why You Do That is up like 200-300% in terms of streams. You know what I'm saying? People are making new videos to Why You Do That. Max is finally being able to tour and perform Why You Do That to sold out crowd. It's ill. It's so ill to watch that record just come back alive. So Max had to tap back in with us, man. He tapped back in with us, and we've been on ever since. We just tap back in, man, and we here. So what I want cats to do, especially for the folks that are trying to learn this business and learn this music production, and that's why I said I want to create this community where folks can join the community and can learn the music business, and they're gonna get some tutorials and different things, and they can learn it from me direct. Because at the end of the day, it's like, who can really say that they've done what I've done in this? What me and Mike D have done in this. Our first record is literally with Big Pun. Like, think about that. Our first record is Big Pun, Capital Punishment. Album comes out, first Latino rapper to go platinum, one of the first Latino rappers to be nominated for a Grammy in his debut album. The album goes crazy, does 2 million copies. It changes the course of my life. I work with him on the second album on Leatherface. We work with him on the Terror Squad album. Then we went from there. We did Boot Camp Click, and then we went from Boot Camp Click. We did Raekwon, and we did, American Cream Team. We did RZA. We did all of these things, Then I moved down south, and then I started doing Waka Flocka, started doing Killer Mike, started doing Shorty Low. Rest in peace. Rest in peace to Trouble. Trouble. Started doing him. Alley Boy. Shout out to Alley Boy. We did all that first tape, Definition of Fuck Shit. Like, we went crazy down here. We was down here in Atlanta going crazy with that. In the mix. Lil Scrappy, shout out to him. He's one of the first guys that work with us out here. And Freddie Gibbs. You know what I'm saying? Like, so many others. Saha. So it's just like a thing for us to have done all of these artists, all these great artists, work with all these great artists in our career. The Game, Jadakiss, all these people. So now we back front and center with Max, where we're supposed to be, front and center. Like, you know what I'm saying? And now what's going to happen, and what you guys are going to witness, is what happens when people finally reconnect the dot and say, well, damn, these guys are the ones that did this. They did this Jadakiss joint. They did this Prodigy joint for Mobb Deep. They did this. They did that. And once people start to connect the dot, then they're going to be like, oh, okay, them niggas been nice. But y'all just been sleeping, and that's just the industry sleeping on you. And I guess everything in its time. Let's get back to this cook up, right? So now I got this other part. We're gonna do that now. I'm gonna say that's the main guitar sample. We just copied the track, and all we're gonna do is we're gonna just isolate this, put this on its own track, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna mute the main sample that has everything together. This is the guitar. And chat, man, tell me where y'all from. For the folks that are new in the chat, tell me where y'all from. Shout out to my usual suspects, man. Kaz, Chocolate Boy Swagger, New Era. You know what I'm saying? These are my folks. Yo, shout out Coach J. Like, these are my guys that are, part of the Future Producer Society that are, trying to learn and, getting into this music business. They're taking it real serious. And I appreciate that, and that's what we want to deal with. We want to deal with people who are really serious, who are trying to learn this thing for real. And, and not trying to play any games with it and trying to do what they got to do. Rakenza, thank you for your flowers. I appreciate you. Sample. This is the guitar, and I lost my train of thought there. I'm just excited by everything. I just seen a Max B interview where he's putting out the lineup for the album, so I'm gonna repost that. And we're getting busy. You know what I mean? This is what we're doing. Let's add the sample in real quick. Flanging because all the parts are separated, but now they're doubled up. So what we're going to do now is this sample that we had there regular, we're going to mute this. California. Listen, Dame, man, thank you for your super chat. Dame is saying that he's right hooks, etc. Look, this is the thing, man. When we're doing that, we still have to understand this whole, this music business, this music production. And I think even if you're just on the side that you're writing hooks and stuff like that, I still think that you can definitely benefit from this really, digging into that music production, because vocal production is part of that music production. It's still all part of the game, you know what I'm saying? And I still think that guys need to understand the music business. So even though I know I've listed it as a Future Producer Society, it would also be for people who are songwriters, who are, again, dealing in this music business, because everything still applies to you. Music publishing still applies to you. Copyright still applies to you. Song split still applies to you. Music marketing still applies to you. Like, all of the stuff that applies to producers now applies to artists. So even though I've named it as a Future Producer Society only because that is really my mantra. I'm a producer by trade. That's what it is. So that's easier for people to digest versus me say, hey, I want to tell artists what to do, so forth and so on. Even though I've been on the side of an A&R, and we've been able to develop and nurture talent and be around artists from the beginning. You know what I mean? So shout out to you. Let's go. Chad, I need a name for the beat. Let's do that. And I'm going to add in right now. I got to get some signature 808s in here. I got to get that going. I need some 808s. I need a bass line in here. It got a bass line in it already, but I need something to bring it out. Shout out Fresno, California in the building. You asking me if I'm releasing it? That's if Max B don't take it. Max B taking everything. The record that we did on the Game album, we had a song that we did with the Game. It's called Never Be Friends, right? And the initial documentary was coupled with the documentary, the album, and the documentary DVD, right? So there's a song that we did that's the sample didn't clear, so we couldn't make the documentary album. So we had to revamp some things, and then that song, as we did it now, made the documentary DVD. So the song is called Never Be Friends. It's on the documentary DVD, but it's part of the documentary initial sales. So that's what puts us in the category for us to receive our contribution for being on the album and getting the plaque, is because we were part of the documentary DVD that was coupled with the documentary album, if that makes sense. Shout out to the Game, man. That joint hurt, man. Let me tell you, because we messed around and we sampled the Aerosmith. It's that song, Dream On, there's a dream on. And at the time, if you guys remember, Eminem had this is a long time ago, but Eminem had a Chrysler, or was it a Dodge? It was one of these GMC commercial that used Eminem in the commercial and then used the Aerosmith song. So Aerosmith wouldn't allow anyone else to use the sample because it was already being licensed to General Motors at the time. You know what I'm saying? So that killed us. And if you notice, Game even mentions it in the song. If you go back and you listen to the song "Never Be Friends," it's on our page it's on our YouTube as songs we produce. If you go and you check it out, he even says, "I would have had to clear this sample." He says it in the rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, you couldn't clear the sample, man. It was one of the songs that he had dedicated to one of his dead homies. So Unicorn, you're right. No one does have the license for it right now. I could still drop it. This is absolutely true. But you see, what happens is like this. It's like, it doesn't make sense for me to drop it when we got access to the hottest rapper in the game right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's gonna generate way more traction than us dropping it, independently. So it doesn't make if we run it to Homie and Homie don't want it, then that's one thing, you know what I'm saying? But even if we run it to Homie, we still, now that we've done the records with, Wiz, and we've done the record with Chains, and the record with a few other guys, French and all these guys, there's still a bunch of projects now. So now we can run it to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So now it's a different situation. So once you start doing records with everybody, now you got access to everybody. And then once you got the eyes on you, you know how that go. Once you got the eyes on you, this is the game called, it's monkey see, monkey do. Once people got the eyes on you, all of a sudden, like the music that you sent cats, that all of a sudden they don't really realize, like, all of a sudden now the music is hot. The music been hot, bro. You just wasn't listening. Like, that's the thing. You just wasn't listening. You're in Staten Island. Thank you again for your super chat, man, Dane. First time I heard something. The first time I heard something, the first time we produced something on the radio that got on the radio, it was a record. It was a record that we did. Shout out to my man, Shout out to my brother. This is my brother from another mother, Sean Anthony Baker. That's SEAN, Sean Anthony Baker. He's literally the first artist that I work with, right? This is the first artist that I work with. This is the first artist that I attempted to manage. Like, real talk. Like, I met him in school, and I heard him singing, and I'm like, yo, bro, I'm in this music thing, but I don't know nobody. This is the joke. I don't know nobody. I ain't got no equipment, and I ain't got no money, right? I ain't got no equipment. I don't know nobody. Nothing. But I'm trying to be in this music business. I had just crashed my car that summer, and that was the only reason why I was still stuck on the college campus, because I couldn't leave. You know what I'm saying? So that's when I wound up bumping into homie. I couldn't leave. I had crashed my car, and I was stuck, and I was tight. I was so tight that I had to sit there in school, like, you know what I mean, just tight. But that's how I met homie, and I met him, and we just clicked. Me and him just clicked, you know what I'm saying? Because he from the BX, I was from the BX, and we was going to school in New Rochelle, New York, and I met him, and I told him, like, yo, I don't know nobody, ain't got no money, I ain't got no equipment, but I can guarantee you we going to get something done. Me and him shook hands right there on the street, and we've been rocking with him, and I wind up getting a settlement. Like, you know, it's like maybe 2-3 G's, something like that. I don't want to get 2-3 G's. I wind up getting a little settlement, and I maxed out some credit cards. Let me go back. I maxed out some credit cards. I bought an ASR 88. That joint was like $4,000 back then. I bought an ASR 88. I bought one ADAT, so I had 8 tracks ADAT. Bought a Mackie board. Then I bought Audio Technica mic, right? And then I wind up getting like a Tascam tape deck and a DAT machine or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I wind up just maxing out all my stuff, you know what I'm saying? You know, shorty that I was with, she helped me buy stuff, shout out to her, you know what I'm saying? Like, we maxed out everything. I put the studio at my parents' crib. He started coming through, we record this record. And that record that we recorded that record, I pressed it up. Mike was just started working at Loud Records. Mike started to work as an intern at Loud, and he wound up putting the record into the record pool to get it to Flex, and Flex wound up playing that record for the first time. It was a Sean Baker joint. He wound up playing it on the radio, and I just remember hearing the joint and just kind of spazzing and then trying to call homie on the phone like, yo, you joint on the radio. Shout out to Sean Anthony Baker, bro. Fast forward, Sean Anthony Baker is an actor. You can catch him on Lincoln Lawyer come Friday. You can't make this shit up. He on Lincoln Lawyer on Friday. You gonna see him. You know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to my homie on Sean Anthony Baker, Lincoln Lawyer. You could watch him on Lincoln Lawyer. You could watch him on FBI. You could watch him on Grey's Anatomy. You could watch him on Swagger with Ice Cube's son. He's on that show, Swagger, for Apple TV. He plays Coach Naeem Raheem. Shout out to my homie. That's my bro. You know what I'm saying? But the person that's asking me the first time I got my record played, that's the first record that got played. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he in the Tupac movie too. My bad. All Eyes on Me. I forgot about that. Shout out to my man Coach J, my other brother from another mother. He said, which record did I produce for Pun? We produced Capital Punishment. That's the title track. And we did Leatherface for Pun on the second album. And then we did another record with Pun on the Terror Squad album. First Terror Squad album is called Triple Threat, featuring Triple Sace and Cuban Link. Kansas said Summer Dreams. Who said Summer Dreams? Who said name the beat Summer Dreams? Who said that? I think I'm gonna go with that. Shout out to Rikenza, man, on that. Yeah, man, the ASR 88, man, I wish I never sold it, man. That's one of the biggest mistakes that I've ever made. I sold that damn ASR 88. I should have never sold it. It was just so heavy. It was big, pause, and it was just heavy, pause. And I just, like, and at the time, I fell into that trap, man, that Triton trap. Like, everybody was using the Triton at the time, and I'm like, man, maybe I need to, because the ASR didn't really have any sounds of its own. And back then, you know, you had to have sounds back then. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had to, if you wasn't a person that was sampling all types of break beats, like, you had to go find sounds. You had to get all those modules, the JV 1080, 2080, the Planet Fat. You had to get all these different modules. There was no VSTs. You had to get hardware. And I'm like, damn, I got this keyboard that don't really got no sounds. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had to sample your stuff. It's a sampler, not really a joint that has sounds on its own. So I didn't really see the value in it at that time because I had an MPC. So I'm like, I got an MPC. I don't really need that, but that's not what happened here. The reason why I had the ASR and I bought an MPC was because of DR Period. Shout out to DR Period. DR Period did Annie Up for MOP. How About Some Hardcore? And then he did Broken Language. You know what I'm saying? So I wind up going with Mike one time to DR Studio. And DR Studio, he had some Alesis Monitor 2s. I don't know if y'all remember those speakers, Monitor 1s, Monitor 2s. They were big Monitor 2s. And he was using like an MPC. I don't want to lie here. It was an MPC 60 or 3000. It was one of the two. But he definitely had an EPS 16. Right? So the EPS 16 was the precursor. The EPS 16 was the precursor to the ASR, right? Because it was an Ensoniq EPS 16. So he was using that along with the MPC. And when he was playing his beats, Jesus Christ, man. Like, it's like Jesus Christ. Like, the joist was breaking the goddamn speakers. And I was like, shit. Like, you know, because I just had the ASR. I didn't have the MPC at the time. And I'm like, shit, like, I gotta get an MPC. Like, now, I was like, I see this shit. I see how he's using it together. Like, I gotta go get me an MPC. So we wind up buying an MPC, 2000 and shit. And then we upgraded later after we got the Raekwon stuff. Shout out to Power. We wind up we started working with Ray, and then Power was asking us like, yo, what y'all need? This is a joke. Power's like, yo, what y'all need? What y'all need for y'all joint? What y'all need for y'all situation? He's like, yo, we need a bunch of stuff. He's like, yo, make a list. We made a list. He said, yo, we need 2 MPCs. I need some Mackie speakers. I need a new mixing board. I need a Ghost Soundcraft board. It was like a 32 channel board and all of this stuff. I need this. I need that. I need this, that. It was about, I ain't gonna hold you. It was about 30 G's worth of equipment. Real talk. And he was like, I bet. He said, meet Mel at Wooware, you know, rest in peace, Mel Carter. And then we wind up going to Sam Ash. And they put the order in. I came down in the truck, pick everything up. To almost everything, because, you know, Mike had a studio that he worked out of. I have a studio that I had the main studio that I worked out of in Yonkers, in the crib in Yonkers. And then every week we would all converge. So it would be Sean, my brother, shout out to Kane, and then Mike, and then we would all get together, and then we would just play whatever we made during the week. And then we would do process of elimination. Be like, nah, we don't like this, we don't like that. All right, this is dope, load this up. And then we would load it up, and then we would fix it, remix it, do everything, and then put it as part of a tape to go out. And that was the process, and we did that for years. my dreams. Shout out to Rakenza on that one. Appreciate you. Shout out to everybody that's jumping into the live. Shout out to all the folks that are joining the live stream. This is, music business tutorials, music production tutorial. Just kind of show you the process that I use when really kind of creating these tracks. And I really kind of want folks to realize that it's not as complex as some people try to make it to be. It's really not that complex. A lot of it is just training your ear to get you to make sure that you're choosing, especially if you're gonna be a sample-based producer, to train your ear to what to really pick and choose. Shout out to people like Q-Tip and those folks. Like, these guys are the ones that helped us to understand what we should be choosing the samples. Like, Large Professor, Q-Tip, Pete Rock, the usual suspects, Marley Marl. Like, these are the usual suspects that, if you didn't understand sampling, you would understand sampling by listening to those guys' music. Like, those are like the real, those are like the real goats in here, He said, need a documentary. Yeah, Kai, yep, 2000 XL. It's so funny, like, while I'm talking to you guys, all this stuff is coming back to me. But there's so many things in between that, like the nuances of, what it took to lay down capital punishment. Like, you know what I'm saying? It says, it said the words are adjustable, but imagine Max on it. Okay. Shout out to my man Dame. Thank you for your super chat, bro. Do it just like that. Was capital punishment a sample? Yes, but I can't tell you where. we chopped and screwed and did so many things to that to make it what it was. So, Mike D's crazy. key here is to probably get some of these instruments down. Like right now, my hi-hat is really going too high. My open hat is too high. We gotta just turn them down into the mix a little bit. Not for nothing, I might still be able to take this guitar sample, and we might still be able to we might be able to run into the stem separator again. Might be able to do it to remove that second part of it, but if worse comes to worse, I should be able to go back into Splice, and I should be able to see if there's a way for me to find the parts on this, because typically I like to find things that have parts. So if I can't get it clean, then I'll go back to that, but I like to just kind of do it this way just for the sake of illustration and making it faster. I've done that once or twice, a few times if I need to explode the percussion from the sample. I have done that. I don't necessarily do it too much, but it's definitely something that you can do if you want to try to get get that to be broken out. Shout out to Dame. Thank you for your super chat. He's saying basically like, as far as making the beats full. And I'm going to tell you something that I had learned to help me with that. And I think some of my cats that be in the lives with me have probably heard this one before. We was in LA, and we were working with Raekwon on his sophomore album, Immobilarity. Shout out to Raekwon, the chef. And he had, for this album, after Ray did the Purple Tape basically made Raekwon like the guy, right? He's the guy, right? We had Incarcerated Scarfaces, we had Glaciers of Ice, right? We had Heaven and Hell, we had Cream and all these different records that Ray was on, and Ray was on fire. So after the Purple Tape did the 1 million copies, it's time for the sophomore album. So they opened up the checkbook for Ray. The checkbook was wide open for him to pretty much do whatever he wanted to do on the second project. Steve and them was like, they let him do whatever he wanted to do on this album. And we recorded this album in three different cities. We recorded most of it in New York, and then I traveled with him to Atlanta. And this is the first time I ever came to Atlanta with Raekwon. Like I always tell people that I'd never been to Atlanta before. I came to Atlanta with Raekwon. We recorded out of the old Patchwork studio. There we booked it out for about a month, and then we did California. Right. So in between this, Ray is doing all types of features. This is around the time when he did Live from the BBQ, and right after he did that, and with Outkast, and then he did the Slick Rick record. And then he did a bunch of other joints while around this time. And he was just on fire. And he was getting all of the top producers to come through, right? So, Life After Death came out. He started working with some of the guys from the Hitmen. So we had, at one point, Derek Angeletti came through. Shout out to him, D-Dot. And then at another point, Carlos Brody came through. And Carlos Brody is responsible for, Somebody's Got to Die and all those type of songs with Biggie and stuff like that. TONY, CNN, okay? just let me just put it into context, okay? So he's doing the song Yayo with Ray, and you know, not only was I a producer on this album, I was also an A&R on this album, right? So I was able to, basically sit in on these sessions and watch guys work. So I'm watching homie work, and you know, at the time, if everybody who had an MPC, if you had an MPC, you used to have to get the expansion to get the 8 outs and all of that, and then you would lay all your tracks. You would lay, you would lay your track. Track one would have your snare, one track would have your kick, the other track would have your hi hat, and so you would just lay everything one by one, and each track would have its own sound. But then I noticed with homie, he didn't lay his joints like that. He would basically take his kicks and he would put them on track 1 and 2. Then he would put his snare on track 1 and 2, 3 and 4. His hi hat 5 and 6. So he was using double the amount of tracks that we was using, and that's why their music sounded fuller. It's because they ran everything stereo and we was running everything mono. So just something as simple as that is what started to create the fullness in the sound that was escaping us. I remember calling Mike and like, yo, cause Mike had to go back to New York for some stuff for Loud and then come back. And I'm like, yo, he laying everything down stereo. And just from that session, I start to realize, like, okay, how can we get our joints to sound like that? And once we started laying the joints down stereo, then it changed everything. I'm gonna try to see if I can separate this sample. I want to try it, see if it works. So we're going to try to separate that again, and we're going to sound it to a pad D7. Let's see what it gives us. See if it gives us any more artifacts or if it makes it cleaner. Shout out to everybody that's jumping into the live. What's up on the TikTok side, man? What's up with the likes? Nobody's tapping the screen. What's happening? Shout out to everybody that's on YouTube. Shout out to everybody that's watching. That's great. You know what I mean? We're making it do what it do. I think it's gonna separate that vocal from it. It added it back in. Am I tripping? Shout out to Miss Simpson. Thank you for your gift. Interesting. Okay. I think I'm going to do something. I'm going to copy this sequence over into the next part of it. And we're going to call this probably the verse. And we're going to just try to, I think I'm going to do something. I'm going to mute that. And then I'm going to go here. That's muted already. Ooh, excuse me. We're gonna do this bass line over real quick. Shout out to Dame on the super chat. He said he's gonna drop his own music. So he'll take 20%. As opposed to 100%. Oh, I see what he's saying. He's basically saying that he'll settle for taking 20% of a portion of a record versus 100% of a record that's not generating anything. And that's really the science behind it, man. It's really trying to find a way to collab, trying to find a way to work, but all of that stuff, it takes time, and in this business you have to develop relationships. You know what I mean? And relationships are not easy to come by, and and they're just not, you know what I'm saying? And people have to realize that it takes time to develop relationships with folks, and you're not going to always have access to everybody at every time, you know what I mean? But for those, like I said, who are looking to learn, make sure y'all jumping into that community, because basically what's happening is like this, man. It's like, and it's something that took me a very, very long time to understand, is, this is what no one talks about with the music business. When nobody talks about the music business is that this is a social networking type of business. This is a business where, a lot of us aren't taught, or we don't learn the dynamics of the rooms, of social rooms, right? How do we navigate certain rooms? How do we talk to people of different calibers, of different ages, of different, monetary statuses? Like, how do we develop those relationships? How do we add value to these folks, before we go into places and we're asking for stuff, right? Or, yo, can you link me with this, or can you link me with that? But what have you actually done to be able to ask for, that type of access? And I think that's what people kind of don't really understand. Like, there's a social aspect to this that, sometimes you got to go into these rooms and you have to move around these rooms in certain ways so that you don't ruin your relationship, right? So for me, and I didn't understand this like for a long time, but when we were starting out, Mike primarily handled the artists, right? I normally handled the attorneys and all that stuff on the back end, like, you know what I'm saying? So I was better in communicating with those folks than communicating with artists, right? Because I didn't really like the music industry and the facade that people kind of carried. I didn't really like that, right? That's, and this was just me being younger, and this me being the guy from the Bronx. And, I just come from a certain era of a time where, I'm a guy that likes things to be cut and dry. I don't really like people pussyfooting around things. Yeah, man, I'll give you a call, man, and never call. Oh, yeah, man, you can holler at me, but never, you can't really get him when you call him, and like all that type of shit. I wasn't really on that type of time. So that's really like music industry shit that I don't really like. I don't really like that, right? And that's always been my thing. I never really liked that. So Mike was always better with dealing with those kind of politics. Always better with dealing with those politics. And as time progressed, then I start to understand, like, okay, I got to understand these politics, and we have to start really playing these politics, especially once I move to Atlanta, right? So Mike is in Brooklyn and I'm in Atlanta, and now I have to create a different social circle out here, and then I have to make sure that I'm maintaining these relationships, and I have to make sure that guys are comfortable with me when I'm in the studio with these guys. Like, I got to make sure guys is comfortable, even though I may not be drinking and smoking. I got to make sure that guys is comfortable with me. You know what I'm saying? And I have to make sure that I'm not coming off, a certain type of way, and I'm not coming off too intimidating and so forth, because, I'm a bigger guy, I'm 250, and I'm, I'm in the joint, like, and, in those days I was staying in the gym and stuff, and, so sometimes I can come into a room and look a little bit, look like a juggernaut. That's really what it is. So I'm coming in and I'm looking a certain type of way, and, like I'm not really looking like a producer. I'm looking like somebody that could rob you. So I got to I have to try to find a way to play the room different. And this is all about the nuances and the nuances of the music business. The music business is just, it's a social thing. You can't make people feel uncomfortable. Can't talk too much. Can't talk too little, right? You have to see who's in charge. You have to make sure that you understand how to move around the room for the people that are in charge. Remember, it's ego-filled. People's egos is huge. And this is a different part of the game, you know what I'm saying, that no one talks about. So no one talks about this game like, you might get invited to a session, go in there, talk too much, and then never get invited back. And then you don't know why, because you're trying to bully your way into a situation and you're trying to do too much, and you haven't really produced the value to show that that you haven't earned the permission to have that opinion, or the permission to really even speak in that room at that time, or that whatever. Sometimes people try to bully their way into it, and sometimes that doesn't work. And that's the real view. And we all need to make sure that when we're talking about this game, we have to talk about being able to communicate effectively. A lot of us aren't really effective communicators, and trying to communicate with different artists, and knowing how to communicate back and forth, right? Because I can get on the call with the attorney and I could talk the attorney language if I need to, right? But that took time to learn, right? It took time for me to be in the books. It took time for me to really understand, to sit down and be able to draft those emails, or draft those communications that would articulate exactly what we wanted from a business perspective, and talk their language. Because if you're not talking their language, then what they're going to do is they're going to disregard you as another dumb nigga. You got to realize this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? They don't really have respect for quote unquote musicians. People don't realize that, me and Mike is college educated. We, you know what I'm saying? We went to college and did all of that. We did all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like so we don't come from a perspective of not necessarily being educated. But at the same time, again, he from Brooklyn and I'm from the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? So even though I happened to make it, I navigated through those things, and I was able to navigate through school. It doesn't take away from the things that I had to experience, and then how we had to evolve as men. You know what I'm saying? It's like the stuff, the stories that I'll tell you about, my teenage years, and the shooting and the cutting and the people getting killed and the gang violence and all this type of stuff. It's like everybody experiences coming from the inner city. It's like only a handful of people can really say that they survived it and really have learned to evolve and evolve your mind. You know what I mean? But I'm going off in a little bit of a tangent. The main thing that I wanted to say was, we're just talking about making sure that we understand, like, the business of networking, and it's not just, it's not just, I'm in the room with such and such. We have to really develop a common core relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does this person like? If I'm talking to Power, like, Power would always talk, anything related to music business or business in general, you can get him to talk about it all day. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just how the guy is wired. The guy is wired that way. And then when you start to talk to him about that, and he likes to, that's why he call him knowledge and belly, because he always likes to give that type of knowledge and talk about the things and if you're willing to listen, you can learn something. But if you ain't willing to listen, then you can't create that relationship that you want to create. So even to this day, I can still reach out to homie, and say, yo, what up, and we got a good rapport. But let's go. I'm about to try to see if I could change this, get a verse out of this beat. So I want this probably to loop twice. I don't want it to just go the way that it's going. But Kenza, thank you for that. Brother, look, this is the whole point of this channel. This is the whole point of the live stream. This is the whole point of the Future Producer Society. It is to learn, bro. We can make the mistakes here so that when we go out in the field, we good. You understand what I'm saying? When you out in the field, you're gonna be batting 1,000. You know what I'm saying? By the time you finish just getting that information from me, like how you getting the information right now, you're going to be batting 1,000. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's like you're not going to find nobody talking about it like how we talking about it. I'm going to tell you that straight, flat out. People will sugarcoat it. People will tell you this. People will tell you that. And I'm going to tell you that it's real. Like, I'm going to tell you what's real. It's like, yo, you're dealing with artists. Artists have egos. There's just no getting around that. You have to learn how to navigate that, right? You have to learn how to navigate it, and the best way that I can say to navigate it is let your work speak for itself and don't talk too fucking much. It's like that's it. You know what I'm saying? Let your music do a lot of the speaking. Pay attention to what the artist likes. Pay attention to their moods. Pay attention to how they look when they first come in the session for when they leave the session. Pay attention to what happens when they're drinking. Pay attention to when they're smoking. Pay attention to who comes into the room, and when they come into the room, who lights them up, who brings it down. You just gotta pay attention. Pay attention. And it's like playing a game of double dutch, right? You gotta know when to jump in the rope. You gotta know when to get in, and then when to get out. That's it. You know what I'm saying? It's very, very, very simple. You know what I'm saying? And if you can build real relationship, meaning you have some things that you are aligned in, right? Let's say, for example, Boy Swagger, he got young kids. I got young kids. Not as young as his, but I got young kids. So these are the things that you find similarities in, and those are the things that you hook on to. So when people have those type of things, those are the ways that you have conversations with people. It also pays to be well-read. I'll tell people that too, is if you're a well-read person, what happens is as a person that's more well-read, when you go into different rooms, people can talk about this and they can talk about that. The other day, I was on a call with my lawyer, and we got into a conversation about him talking about the group, The Doors. And I said, oh yeah, I said I always liked The Doors, and I said, the Doors. I was like, fun fact. I said one of the first records I ever sampled was a Door, called just The Doors, called Riders of the Storm. And when I said that to him, the attorney lit up. Right, he's like, you sampled that? I was like, yeah, there was a portion of it that had like this really ill piano solo, and I went into the intricacy of when I sampled it. And now granted, I never listened to none of the other shit. I just listened to what I listened to, right? But being able to speak to that, right, opened up an entirely different conversation with him, and now we found something that we were aligned in. And now it's like, oh, okay, so he's not just listening to soul music, or he's not just listening to watermelon music. That's what I try to call it when you're talking to these folks that are different than what you call it, folks. These folks be low-key racist, because if you're well spoken and well read, They say, "Well, man, you're so well spoken and so well spoken and so well read for a right." You get it? So it's still like it's a compliment, but it's still backhanded, right? So you got to just know how to navigate this stuff, and it always pays to pay attention to what's going on. It pays attention to, you know, read as much as you can. It pays attention to be able to to pay attention to, some current events. Don't dive too deep into everything. You can't do that. It's too much for your brain. But just to be able to talk to it, you know what I'm saying? Some guys really love sports. I can't say I'm one of those guys, you know what I'm saying? But, whoever's in the playoffs, I'll know. Whoever's in the Super Bowl, I'll know. But, I ain't following everything else. Right? So, yeah, I listen, man. I know sometimes my attorney when he called me, he'd be beside himself, because there'll be times when I'll say something to him that he'd be like, "Yo, how does this guy know?" It's because, man, the same books you reading, we gotta read too, so you can't take advantage of us. And I'm gonna tell you something too, man. I'm gonna tell you something. There's a really big record that we're a part of that we could have owned 100% of, but following the advice of the attorney made us lose that opportunity, right? And this is why I'll continue to say it, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. Just because you got an attorney don't mean that they're good at business. That just means that they're good at drafting language to put into the contract. But if they're shitty business people, you're gonna get a shitty contract, and that's the nature of the beast. One more time. That's all right, but I can't say I like that. So what I want to do with this is I'm probably going to wind up jumping in to find the samples and see if I can find the samples if they come cleaner than what I have as a stem separator. If I can do that, then I'll add those in, because I already have the tracks tracked out. So I can just fly those samples in by just going into my Splice account and seeing if those things are broken out into different parts, and then we'll see where we could go. I think there should be a different vocal part, and I think there should also be a bass part, and I think there should be the guitar part. I think those things should be separated. If they're not, then we'll run it the way it is. If it is, then we'll kind of keep it pushing like that. But I'm about to wrap this one up. This one is called Summer Dreams. What did we post the other day? We posted a few joints, man. I'm just going to keep posting the joints, you know what I'm saying? I'm not really supposed to be posting some of the joints, because some of the joints is already taken. But the reality of the situation is that, listen, you got to do shameless promotion here. You know what I'm saying? So, you got to do shameless promotion, and you got to promote yourself relentlessly, because, if you don't do it, who else is going to do it? Yeah, that's what it is. So I want to say shout out to everybody that jumped into the live. Shout out to the folks, my super chat folks. Shout out to the man, the great Dame. I appreciate you. Who else did the super chat tonight? A few other super chats. Great Dame a few times. Thank you for your super chats, brother. Definitely appreciate you. Shout out to New Era. Appreciate you as well. Yeah, log on at 8. You're gonna be the first one in the queue, and I'll wait for you. You know what I mean? But we'll be here at 8. You know what I mean? For those who are trying to submit for our music submissions, make sure you check that out. For our music submissions, we are doing music reviews. Share it with an artist, share it with a producer. For those who are looking to get into the Future Producer Society, like I said, it is free to join. We will be adding in a ton of content, and those content now, some of those things will be more exclusive, but we've got to be adding those in. The courses, of course, and stuff like that. The masterclass and those things, those will be all part of the premium and VIP sections. So, for folks who are into those things, then they'll get access to those immediately. Yeah, we're just going to keep it going, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? We're going to keep it going. $1 Million Baby coming out February 25th. So if you don't know, now you know. And we getting busy, man. We making it do what it do. We going to move it like we moving it. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. And I will catch you tomorrow at 8.